Hello and welcome to this presentation on 10 things that you can do now to bring customers to your existing website, and also some things that you can avoid doing if you want to keep them on your website. Number 1, include your team members and let them shine. If you have employees in your company and that they have a talent for explaining things or for writing in plain English that everyone can understand, or they have a clear speaking voice, then let them be ambassadors of what you do really well and contribute to your website. The people that you employ, they can really make your website a success, and they can reach out to your customers in a way that not everyone else can. But if you are going to ask your employees to help make a contribution to your website, avoid pressuring the wrong ones, because their lack of willingness or reluctance will come through the work that they put on the website. So if you have someone who's telegenic and explains well, then get them in front of a camera. If you have someone who sounds really good on the air and they're happy to be recorded, then ask them to do some audio presentations. If someone enjoys writing about products or enjoys giving an opinion on something in a way that promotes what you do really well, then of course get them to make a text contribution to your website on a post or a page. Either way, make sure that those who work for your company have a chance to contribute to the success of your website, because it will make their work much more interesting and could actually help them want to stay with your company and remain a bit longer than they might have otherwise. Now, on a website, typically the main content is text-based or images, but it's very easy to record someone's voice and produce short messages very quickly and add those to your web posts and pages. Now, you could just use your smartphone, record your voice. Perhaps you just want to make a comment about the state of the market. Perhaps if you're an estate agent and you want to talk about a new government rule, or if you have a product that has been indicated to have a problem, you may have the solution. Just recording your voice in a friendly manner just makes your company look more accessible and more human. Use your smartphone, make the recording, and submit it to your website very easily, certainly with our WordPress websites. Now, if you are going to use audio messages, then avoid using soundtracks, which you might think is interesting but actually could distract from the message, and avoid noisy backgrounds. The cost of buying recording equipment is dependent on the quality of the equipment you buy, but in reality, to start out with, to get used to the benefits to be had of using audio recordings, just start with your smartphone and the microphone and earphones that come with the phone, particularly Apple-based products. They're known for their recording quality, and I'm talking about the microphone that comes with the earpiece. Lights, camera, and action. Well, again, as I've already mentioned, if you have people and they're happy to be put in front of a camera, then let them do that. You can use video messages to show how to use your product or how to make better use of your services, and that could be if you have a product that needs to be unpackaged. So for example, if you have a computer and it should be unpackaged a certain way so that people don't break it, then show them how to do that. There's lots of videos on YouTube which shows people how to use a camera or how to use a microwave. Whatever your product is, there's a chance that people might need help to understand how to better use it. Use YouTube. It's free. You can set up an account very quickly, and we can help you with that. Now, the fact is that too many people spend too much time making the perfect video, getting the lighting right, getting the microphone right, getting the setup right. You're not creating an episode of EastEnders, but you will improve as time goes by. So let your colleagues, let yourself have the space and time to produce a video, but don't be surprised that as you get along, produce more and more videos, you might look back at your earlier stuff and think, crikey, that's very poor quality. But in fact, you need some way to improve, and practice makes perfect. Whatever your message type is, audio, video, or text, or even using images, make sure you use plain English. Make yours a conversational style. Make sure you use words that your customers will recognize. Avoid jargon. Now, most people know to avoid jargon, but it's very easy for technical terms to slip into what we actually say. For example, an estate agent may want to talk about gas safety certificates, but actually these really usually only affect landlords. They don't actually affect people selling their own home. So an estate agent talking about gas safety certificates will be actually confusing to someone who's never been a landlord. So just double check what you're going to talk about. And technical jargon is okay if you know that you're using it, and then you follow it up with an explanation of whether it actually affects the listener. Of course, there are some industries which have to be very technical. Could be a chemical company, or it could be a waste disposal company, and you should use it. But just be careful that you're not excluding people by being too jargonistic. And again, going back to the conversational style, if you have a colleague or even a customer who can join in the conversation, particularly if it's video and audio, it makes it look more authentic and less teachy. With words and paragraphs, keep your layout very, very simple and easy to follow. Use short paragraphs, use short sentences. If you have to use long paragraphs, try and see if you can break them down using bullet points and numbered lists, 1, 2, 3 or ABC. If you have lots of data you want to show, even with a restaurant and its menu, look at using tables. Now, tables is simply a method of laying out detailed information in an easy to follow way. It looks rather like a spreadsheet. In terms of irrelevant images, well, those images can be very, very useful to make a point, but they can also bring down the quality of your website and can land you in legal trouble. For example, if you take an image that you found on the internet and add it to your website, it's very easy for the original owner to find that image, and then they could take legal action against you. So my advice is, if you want to use images that are your own, go ahead, but make sure they're good, high quality, or go to a stock library company online and buy their images and check that the license that you're paying for, which is only a few pounds on average, allows you to publish that image on your own website. There may be images that don't belong to you, and often that the owner will agree to you using their image as long as you state where the image comes from. Just try not to use other people's images as your own, because you could land up with a legal bill. Now, giving your opinion on how something works and doesn't work, that can be very, very useful on your website. So for example, you may be a retailer of camera equipment, photography equipment, and it may be that you're trying to compare and contrast two different cameras from two different makers, Nikon or Canon. Now, it might be that to compare them, they do both the same job, and they have detachable lenses and a flash gun to make the image a bit brighter and lighter. But for them to do the same job, that's fine, but they may actually be one may be more expensive by a wide margin than the other. So one could be an entry-level camera for a student of photography, and the other one may be more appropriate for a professional wedding photographer. Of course, you may want to give your opinion on how products contrast. So using the camera analogy again, it may be that a small compact camera is very, very good for holiday snaps, whereas going on holiday with a full digital SLR with lots of lenses and lots of flash guns not only might get you mugged, but is a lot of weight to carry around, and you may risk leaving it on the turnstile at the airport. So definitely give your opinion as to which you would recommend, and do that to attract comments from people who see your videos. It's important to recognize that when you create content for your website, such as audio and video, and they appear on YouTube or other places, that this will help Google decide whether or not to increase your likelihood of being found by people who are looking for your products and services. But the one thing to avoid is making personal or derogatory statements about the products that are likely to attract unwanted criticism on your part. If you're going to criticize the quality of work, try and make it factual and measurable, and avoid definitely criticizing in a personal manner your competition, because people don't like that. What you should do is be recognized as the place of information where you can say, hey, I do this, or we provide that, and our competitors do something slightly different. It's not your job to know what your competitors do, of course, there's too many out there to do that, but if you start making it personal, it actually just put people off, and lots of research shows that. Now, you've created all this great content. You've created a web page or a post with some news about perhaps a government regulation that will affect your customers. Perhaps there's a new product that's out there that you know that they'll be interested in. You need to then email them and let them know that there's new content to your website. don't just email your customers, email your colleagues, because they'll be interested too. Now, if you're going to email people, the thing that you have to consider is, do you email them in real time as you update your website, or do you let your customers know to expect an email once a week, once a fortnight, or once a month? That's really a personal taste. But what's certain is that if you send out emails at sporadic times of days, then you may miss the opportunity to capture people's expectations. For example, if they know that you're going to send an update every Wednesday, then they're more likely to read it than delete it. If you send out emails whenever you add something to your website, it may not be relevant to them and they may end up unsubscribing. So it's up to you, but I would certainly encourage you to avoid sending out lots of email updates to your customer and try and let them accept that you'll be emailing them once a week. Of course, the problem is if you do send them out emails once a week and that goes on for a long, long time, and then you stop, perhaps you're going on holiday, or perhaps you've just forgotten about it, then your customers may well think that you've stopped producing excellent material and then start looking elsewhere for the products that they normally went to you for. And that's why you should include your colleagues in contributing to your website, because when you are away, you can let someone step up to the plate and take your place in that important work. Now, how do you know what your customers want from your website? You need to ask them. And then when they tell you what they want, you need to deliver on it. So pick up the phone or go and see your customers. Heck knows, you might even get some new business out of it. And if you do that, not only are you showing them that you're not hidden behind a website or hidden behind an email, it also shows that you're willing to go out and see them and ask them how you can improve a better service or delivery. That sort of interaction with the customer, in my experience, usually yields to more business being done and more referrals. Speaking of which, whilst you're there, you may as well ask them if they know anyone else who you can do business with. But certainly get out there and see your customers, or pick up the phone and ask them, what do they want from your website? What information do they need? How often do they need it? What is it that concerns them? Do they have a blind spot that they recognize? For example, going back to being a landlord, if you have multiple properties to rent out, are they fed up having to deal with gas safety certificates, or would they prefer you to take care of it for them and create another income stream for yourself? In finding out what your customers want from your website, you can send an email, of course you can. But if the email looks like a round robin email, which goes to 100, 200 or 2,000 people, it looks impersonal. So make sure your email is personalized, has their name on it, and tells them exactly what it is you're looking for and what they need to do in order to help you help them. Number 9, keep your messages short and sweet. And each message should have one topic. Now, all too often a web page or a web post will talk about multiple issues. So a financial advisor may talk about pensions in the same post, as well as mortgages, as well as savings. It's all really interesting stuff. But you need to be quite clear. Here's a web post, here's a video, or here's an audio recording, and this is what it's about, and this is what I want you to do. The call to action is usually missing from each message, and that is really, really important. So for example, if you're a financial advisor and you wanted to tell someone about the latest pension regulations, the message could state, as its heading, new pension regulations affecting people aged between 50 and 65. Is this you? You then go on to introduce what the subject is about, and then quickly you can follow up with, if you need any advice, then please call me or email me or come by and see me. That's the call to action. Now I tend to ask for, I tend to put call to actions very early on in the message, then again in the middle, and then at the end. If you think that's too salesy, it's personal taste, then reduce the frequency at which the call to action exists. But too many messages go out to people where then the call to action is missing, and then what happens is the customer reads this, they're better informed because you've informed them, and then they go and look elsewhere for the solution. The one thing to avoid is vague subject matter. If your message is not clear at the beginning, and in the middle, and then at the end, then it's vague. And people will feel like they're going around the houses, they'll wonder what the point is, and that is the fast track route to people actually unsubscribing from your important messages. This is hard work, it's important work, and what you want people to do is read your messages and know what then to do next. And that usually should result in more business for you. So avoid vague messages and multiple messages in the one post. Finally, get feedback from your customer. How do you know that the hard work that you're doing is actually delivering what the customer wants? It may be that you're producing lots of videos and your customer wants fewer videos, or they want longer videos or shorter videos. It may be that you have an audio recording and they won't want background music. They don't want to hear green sleeves, that it annoys them. Getting the information from your customer in the form of feedback, many people prefer to use independent companies because it creates a more sense of ability to be more honest on the customer's part. But if you are going to ask customers for feedback, don't put them on the spot and don't be offended if the truth hurts. So if you have been putting a lot of sweat and effort into producing lots of messages and they come back and there's a fundamental change that you have to make, don't be offended. It's a learning curve for everyone. And like I said at the beginning, particularly with video making, you're going to look back at your original work and cringe. It doesn't matter. The point is you're contributing to making your website excellent, to adding content that makes customers want to revisit and recommend you on. I hope this was very useful to you. Speak to you soon. If you need anything from me, then contact me on the details provided or give me a call. Thank you.